it's like an annual talent show for the seniors, and Steve signs Andrew up because Andrew doesn't want to do it, and then he sits there and he's like, you know what, we can do this together, and they actually put on a show together at our event, I guess, and Andrew just he wins it because of the powers that they found. He's able to like lift stuff and keep stuff in the air and do balancing acts, and everyone's like screaming, it's like, yeah, go, and he wins the talent show and he becomes extremely popular because of it, and that was all because of Steve. And I like that. That was like one of my favorite parts of the movie was seeing Steve's character help out Andrew basically make friends and make him popular for all of like 5 minutes. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was interesting. Okay. Basic plot line is these three students, high school students, Steve, Andrew, and Matt. They go to a party after school one day, and they find a nice little hole in the ground. And they go down there, and they find a sort of, well, I don't know how to explain it. It looks kind of like a ginormous crystal emitting like radiation. And it gives them superpowers. It gives them the ability to use telekinesis, being able to move stuff with your mind. They're able to lift stuff up, move things, and fly. Oh, and they can also use their powers to make them invincible to any sort of harm, which you really only see them once. You see them do that once, and it's in like this little cafe, and that's the only time you see it. So, I mean, that was like one of the problems I had with the movie. Some of these powers that they have, you see them like practice it or use it in like a cafe or a backyard or something, and they never use it in the movie. Which, I mean, the movie's only an hour and 20 minutes long, so I can understand they need to filler, but a scene like that where you see them do a power and then you never see them use it again, it's not exactly needed. So I was kind of like, that could have been edited out, or at least add another scene that you see them using it where it would have made some use. But whatever. I digress. Anyway, like I said earlier, Andrew basically uses his powers, and he eventually starts using it for good, but then dips down to going to the evil way. And there's like a scene near the middle where basically he starts using it for bad, and then they basically sit down and realize, it's because you were angry. When you're angry, your powers are like they take over and they want you to do bad things. It sounds something like out of Star Wars, the dark side or something. It's kind of cheesy, but it's plausible, I guess. But yeah, you eventually you see the two other characters, Matt and Steve. They just stay the same. They don't ever use their powers for bad. They don't ever use it in public. And Andrew's like the only one who's using it, and he's getting stronger because of it. And it's one of those type of stories. And so it eventually gets down to the point where Andrew is like way stronger than the other two, and if they were trying to stop him, then they wouldn't be able to unless they totally cheat. You go through the movie, and like I said, you see them using their powers, and you see them doing a bunch of stuff, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, that's a good part of the movie is watching them use these powers and harness them and train with them, and it's actually enjoyable seeing some of the stuff that they do with the powers, like moving cars and lifting little teddy bears off of shelves and scaring kids with them. It's a lot of fun. I laughed at a few parts, and there were a lot of comedic lines in the movie, mostly from Steve. Like I said, he's my favorite character. He really makes you laugh a few times, and you can tell because like we were in the theater, and basically whenever Steve said something, the entire theater just started laughing. I mean, he was funny. I'm not gonna lie. there are a few things in there that they just send you rolling on the floor laughing. Anyway, there were problems with the movie though. I mean, it wasn't 100% amazing. There were a few things that I didn't like. For instance, the editing, as I mentioned at the beginning of the movie. I mean, I've always had a problem with found footage films because of that, because mostly the editing is extremely choppy and it makes it seem like a home movie. Which, I mean, I don't really like that. I really never have, because it feels like you're missing parts. Like, you'll just automatically cut out of a scene and go to a different one, and then you're like, whoa, what just happened? They were in the middle of saying something. And I've always, like, it's kind of always been a pet peeve for me, but, you know, it's whatever. And there were a couple, like, scenes where they do really awkward things. Or not in, like, a bad way, but, like, they just move through the scene and then it ends and it's really weird. For instance, there's this scene like towards the end of the movie where, you know, you see Andrew just like, you know, basically beat up this kid at school with his powers, and his cousin Matt hears about it, and one night, you know, Andrew's editing the footage of the film that he took during the day at school, because he walks around with his camera all the time. Just saying. And a lot of people see it as creepy, but whatever. So his cousin flies through the window because they've learned to fly already, and he basically says, you know, I heard about what you did at school. You need to stop. Yada yada yada. And Andrew's like, no. So Matt goes in to try and punch him, and Andrew like stops him with the telekinesis, and then, you know, Matt just like turns around and flies out the window, and it's just like, okay, like everyone in the theater thought so too. They just thought it like that was extremely awkward. You're just gonna fly out the window without even saying anything. I mean, that's just, I mean, throw in a, you'll never, you know, just throw in something. I don't know what you should throw in. Just like something, you know, you should stop. This is getting way out of hand. I don't know. Just don't just turn around and fly out the window. It's just extremely weird. But other than that, the movie was extremely good. I enjoyed it a lot. The character development was really good. You see these characters go from their low points to high points. They go through the whole character arc. It's really good, and it's a lot of fun. It's only an hour and 20 minutes, which, you know, I thought it wasn't enough time, but going into it and watching it was a good, you know, length. It was enough to keep you interested and to not bore you like, you know, 4-hour movies do nowadays, which you don't see them very often. I think the last one that came out was Avatar, and I was kind of bored by that one. But I do strongly encourage you to go see this movie. It is worth the money. And yeah, so that's Chronicle. Now, I'm going to try and talk here for a minute about what I'm going to do with these new video updates. What I want to do is post this onto Facebook, my blog, and YouTube, and sort of start like a video series out of it, and have people on there sort of comment on it and like which movie I should go see next or something like that. Speaking of which, this weekend we see Safe House coming out, which came out today, and I think Star Wars 3D, which I would prefer not to go see because I really don't like the prequels at all. They're just completely and utterly horrible. But if enough people ask me to go see it, I will go see it and I will review it, but it won't be a response film like this. It'll be a full-on review because that movie has been out for 12, 13 years. I can go and get the DVD and do a full review on it if I wanted to, and that would be like a 2-hour review. So I don't suggest you do that. I don't think you want to listen to me talk for 2 hours. But other than that, this has been a new experience, and I'm going to have to do some editing on this because there's been a lot of mishaps. Maybe I'll make a blooper reel, who knows. But other than that, I will see you guys later. This has been Screen Rant with Thomas O'Donnell. See ya.